You want to step up just a little bit? Okay. And then you can. Okay, you can get started.
Today I'll be performing Amanda by Donna Marie Vaughn. Everyone in the apartment building was so happy for us, and they came to see her, wondering at little fingers and little toes. Joe and I, we were happy too, at least in the beginning. Amanda cried all day and all night long. It concerned me, a new mother-in-law. Mrs. Betty said it was probably colic, and we should check with the doctor. But I knew we couldn't afford to do that. Others said she was fine. She'd get over it, and not to worry. But I did worry, always, every day. Nothing seemed to help. I would hold her, then walk her, then rock her, until I too would be in tears. I think it was me who realized something was wrong first. But I don't know, maybe it was Joe. We never really talked about it. It's funny how the things you want to say the most are never put into words. About 6 weeks after we brought Amanda home, it was a beautiful spring day, so I took her to the park. Joe was worried and didn't want me to take her outside so soon, but I was hoping the weather would help her sleep. We got to the park and I sat down by a friendly-looking woman with a baby, whose name was Sally. Sally had a really nice color to her, all pink and white, with chubby little cheeks, and she was only 5 months old and she could already sit up by herself. I could tell the woman felt sad for me every time she looked at Amanda, because her skin was so gray. Amanda was almost 4 months old then, and I don't know why, but I lied. Maybe it was the fact that she looked so much smaller, or because her skin was so dry and pale, but I told Sally's mother that Amanda was only 2 months old. Sally's mother and I talked for a long time that afternoon. Joe would have been mad if he would have found out I talked to someone, but it had been weeks since I talked to any other adult besides Joe, and it felt good. Sally's mother did most of the talking, which I was glad for. She told me all the details of Sally's 5 months on this earth, and even some of the months before. She even made the pain of childbirth sound enviable. For one long, evil minute that day, I wondered what would have happened if I had taken Sally home from the park and not Amanda. That night, Amanda started crying like we'd never heard before. I remember thinking it was almost odd how so much noise could come from such a little being. I tried to hold her and I watched her little fist move back and forth, but no matter what we did, she just wouldn't be happy. Then she started making these funny sounds, sort of like crying, but not quite. I wanted to take her to the doctor, to the hospital, to someone who could tell us what was wrong. Joe and I had a big fight. He said the police would be looking for us. We had to wait it out. He took her from me and tried to walk with her and talk with her while I tried to do other things around the apartment so I wouldn't worry so much. It was then I thought a lot about Amanda's real mother, the one who could have sat with Sally's mother and shared those stories about elbows and knees cresting along her belly and little baby hiccups in the middle of the night. Maybe we were being punished, Joe and I. We never should have taken Amanda, and this was God's way of telling us so. When Amanda finally was quiet, I knew there wasn't anything that could be done. Joe brought her to me and I took her from her and held her to my chest. She was damp, like a wet towel, her tiny breasts seeming to take such effort to make. It was then I realized I'd been wrong. I had thought Amanda's mother, and all mothers, were selfish because they could have more children and I never would. What could it possibly mean to lose one child in the beginning before you even got a chance to know it? Amanda was only 4 days old when Joe brought her home, the one gift that God himself hadn't even been able to give me. I knew, and it was Joe, or more accurately me, who had been the selfish one. I had thought Amanda's mother and all mothers were selfish. All I talked about was how much I wanted a kid, and how I could not have one, and how unfair life had been to me. Joe, we never should have taken Amanda, and this was God's way of telling us so. I knew Amanda would never see the morning, but I begged Joe to take her to the hospital anyway. Maybe they could do something. Joe said we would have to leave her, and we wouldn't get her back. All I could do was cry and nod my head that I understood. I would have to leave her somehow, with strangers, never saying who she was or who I was. I cried on the way to the hospital. I could tell that Joe was crying too, even behind his sunglasses. When I got out of the car, he said, "Be careful," and he kissed me. He would wait right there in the no parking zone, unless the police came, and then he would drive around the block, but not to worry, he'd be somewhere close by. I wonder how long he waited before he realized I wasn't coming back out to him. I got to the emergency room and I said, This baby is very sick and she needs a doctor. The nurse looked at me, then looked at Amanda, then took her from my arms. It was the last time I saw her. My trial only lasted a couple of hours. My lawyer tried really hard to make the judge understand that I had no way of knowing that Amanda was allergic to dairy products, that every bottle of milk I gave her was like poison to her system. Mrs. Betty came to court and said how she knew how I loved Amanda and how I would never intentionally harm anyone and how I had asked for help on her condition. Joe's mom came to court when my trial took place, but she never said a word to me, just sat there and cried. When it was over, the judge sentenced me to 8 years, but I might only have to be in here for 5. I know to Amanda's real mother, my 8 years will never be enough, but she needn't worry. Every magazine I look at with a baby in it, every song about a baby, and every television show with a child in it makes me think of Amanda and what I did, and that will be for the rest of my life. I guess now I understand why God would let me have children.